Haru had always felt like a shadow in a city that never noticed him. Every street, every building, every flicker of neon seemed just out of reach, as if the world had moved on without leaving space for him. Most people would have disappeared quietly into the background. Haru almost did too, but there was a part of him that refused to vanish completely. On the edge of the quiet city, he stood alone. Hands buried in coat pockets, shoulders hunched against the cold wind, watching the streets below ripple with neon reflections that never seemed to touch him. In classrooms, his name went unspoken. Teachers skipped over him, and classmates laughed in voices he could not join. He sat by the window, tracing raindrops as they slid down the glass, dreaming of skies that felt just out of reach. Notebooks were filled with sketches left unfinished, words erased before they could breathe, each line trembling under his hand, confessing a truth he could not say aloud. The world had no room for him. He learned to shrink, folding his hopes smaller and smaller, hiding them like fragile paper cranes in drawers no one opened. Fear whispered that staying quiet meant staying safe, that invisible meant untouched, that invisible meant surviving. Then one night, the rain came heavier than ever. Haru missed the last bus and lingered at the edge of a wet street, watching the city blur beneath the falling water. Small birds darted through puddles, braving the storm. They did not wait for perfect conditions. They did not ask permission. They simply moved. And something about their persistence tugged at him, a quiet reminder that life did not pause for fear. He began to notice things he had never seen before: the reflections of neon lights in puddles, the soft hum of distant traffic, the steam rising from manholes like tiny clouds. He realized how often he had silenced himself, how often he had let fear decide his limits, and believed that his voice did not matter. The truth settled in his chest, heavier than rain, sharper than the cold wind. The world had not forgotten him, he had forgotten himself. Morning arrived pale and hesitant. The streets seemed longer, lighter, less threatening. Fear rose as it always did, urging him to stay small, to remain invisible. But beneath the weight, something new stirred. Tentative, fragile, insistent. It urged him to try. He began slowly, speaking a thought, a word, a fragment of himself that had been trapped too long. His voice cracked, trembling through the quiet halls, yet it did not vanish. No one laughed. No one turned away. In that silence, he understood something profound. Courage was not the absence of fear, it was moving forward despite it. Days passed in quiet rhythms. Small victories appeared almost unnoticed. A drawing completed, a note spoken aloud, a step taken into spaces that had once seemed forbidden. Confidence arrived, not like fire, but like dawn, gradual, subtle, unstoppable. He no longer waited for permission, no longer needed to feel ready. One evening, he returned to the rooftop where he had once hidden from the world. The wind tugged at his hair and coat, carrying the faint scent of rain and stone. The horizon stretched endlessly above him, soft purples and golds blending into the sky. For the first time, he felt present within it. He spoke his name aloud, letting it drift across rooftops, against clouds, into the vast, indifferent sky. The wind did not shift. The city continued its quiet hum. But in that moment, everything had changed. He existed fully, and that existence was enough. From then on, he moved differently. Each step carried weight and purpose. He drew openly, spoke without hesitation, and allowed himself to take space that had once seemed forbidden. Change did not happen in a single instant, but in these small, deliberate moments, the transformation was undeniable. And in the quiet nights, when the city lay still beneath stars and streetlights, Haru remembered the lesson he had learned without anyone teaching it. Fear would always exist. Doubt would always return. But the only power they held was the power he allowed them. Courage, persistence, existence, they were his to claim. He was no longer invisible. He was no longer silent. The city may not remember his name, and perhaps the sky never noticed. But he remembered himself. That was enough. The city moved on as it always did. Traffic hummed, lights flickered, people laughed in ways he could barely hear. But he stood, and he existed. He had learned the simplest, hardest truth. To live fully, he did not need permission. He only needed to remember that he was here, that he mattered, and that even the endless sky could not erase him. Thanks for watching.